thank you so much for all of you to join us. And special thanks for Yale Center Beijing, my dear colleagues Joyce and Yang Liu and Si Yu. And thank you so much to stay here with us and as always provide strong support and warmly welcome. Every time we host event here, like we come back home, right? And also, I think today's topic is a bit weird. It's about ancient wisdom for climate crisis. So how to connect the two sounds like a very far away topic. To be frankly, it's also a challenge for us. And as we discussed when we come here, we think it's a kind of a soft launch for our joint work in the coming months to find a solution to set up the bridge between the two topics. So today we have speakers, our friends, talk about traditional culture, and we also have delegates from an indigenous group. And you can find some signal from our clothes today. Professor Chen Xia in a traditional culture style, dress code. And Zongxu, Hazim, he is from a Miao ethnic group. And myself, I'm Han. But this clothes is last summer I visited Jingmai Mountain. And old lady from Buyi minority made this for me. So today I specially dress it on to show my appreciation to her. And also I think it's match our topic today. We have four. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Binbin from Peking University, Institute of Carbon Neutrality. My background is climate change. So I'm from all I can on behalf of the modern crisis topic. And besides me, Professor Mary Tucker, I think you can, her expertise is Confucianism and it's a kind of very ancient culture in China. And actually she's also an expert on ecology and religion and hosts the forum in Harvard for many years and have series of books together with John. And they are a couple and they are my model in this kind of personal relationship, respect each other. And John is expert in indigenous group, not only in North America, but around the world. Both of them came from Yale, and we met each other when I was in Yale in 2023, 2 years ago already, yeah, as Yale World Fellow. And Professor Chen Xia from CAS, and her expertise is Daoism. And Zongxu, I will invite you to introduce yourself before your presentation after a while. So today we have 90 minutes in total. The very beginning session is I will invite each of the speakers here to take 10 minutes, introduce their insights on their expertise. Yeah. So the first two focus on traditional culture. I will invite Mary and Professor Chen Xia, and then followed by John and Hazim about indigenous group, indigenous culture. So we will spend 40 minutes, and after that, there is a group discussion among us. We hope we can keep it at 15 minutes, and we will we hope we can left more than 30 minutes for the open discussion. So you can prepare your questions, and we look forward to have a dialogue with all of you. And now, Mary?
So this is a much longer discussion, but I'm going to begin with our work at Harvard that Binbin just mentioned. Let's see. But first, I want to say thank you for coming tonight. We are here, John and I, as citizens diplomats between our two countries, US and China. And we want to acknowledge that some very difficult things are happening right now, which we say, I'm sorry, because we know that in the long term, we will continue to have very good relations. But culture matters for these relations. And culture matters for the environment and for climate change. And so we have the science, we have the technology, we have policy, we have so much already available in law and so on. But what's missing, and what China understands, is the cultural component. So I'm speaking on Confucianism, and Professor Chen Xia is speaking on Daoism. But we started this conference in Harvard in the 90s to survey all the world's religions and what they had to say about ecology and environment and now climate change. So that was 95 to 98. There were 10 conferences and 10 books, and 3 of them are in Chinese, the Confucianism, Daoism, and Buddhism. It's been very well received here in China. These are the 10 conferences, beginning with the indigenous peoples from all over the world, which we will be talking about as well, and the Western, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Daoism. Also one on Shinto, published in Japanese. Now, what I want to say very briefly, this is a much larger topic. Why Confucianism? All these traditions have their problems and their promise. Confucianism, Christianity, Islam, not so good for women. You know, there's a lot of problems. But we're trying to speak about the promise, the possibilities, the ideas, the moral force that's missing in discussions of climate change or the environment. So 4 points here. Here's the first 2. Confucianism and Daoism have an anthropocosmic rather than an anthropocentric perspective. One of the few religions, heaven, earth, and humans. I'm wearing this tonight. Tian, Ren, Lu, Yi. That huge idea, okay? Very, very Confucian and Taoist. Also an organic holism, which is both these traditions share, of the unity of heaven, earth, and humans. Thirdly, there's a dynamic vitalism, a material force of qi in both these traditions. It's related to traditional Chinese medicine and Tai Chi, Qigong. I do Tai Chi, it helps make the qi move. And then finally, therefore, we have a comprehensive ecological ethics that humans and nature are one. We have a responsibility for nature's well-being. That's what we need to put forward for climate change, these ideas. So briefly, I'll touch on a few texts. The Da Shui, the Great Learning, in English, person, family, society, education, politics, these concentric circles moving out. No individual separate from this whole. So it's not isolated. So there's reciprocal responsibilities of the social and natural communities, and self-cultivation influences the whole. Here you can see it in Chinese. I think you're very familiar with the ideas. This is a marvelous idea, not present in the West, because we have so much individualism, okay? So then we have a very important Neo-Confucian thinker, Chang Sai, in the Sung Dynasty. And his idea, I'll think it's in Chinese first, the Western inscription. This is one of the most famous Confucian ideas, and you can read it in Chinese, and then I'll say it in English. Heaven is my father, earth is my mother, and even such a small creature as I has a place in their midst. This beautiful idea that we are directed by nature Okay, in English. So heaven is my father, earth is my mother, and even such a small creature as I finds an intimate place in their midst. Therefore, that which fills the universe I regard as my body. That which directs the universe I consider as my nature. All peoples are my brothers and sisters. This is an ecological ethics, you see. All things are my companions. So the sage identifies his character with that of heaven and earth, and the worthy is the most outstanding, even those who have no brothers or children, wives or husband, all are my brothers in distress. What is this saying for our moment? We can say, this is not just shao to the family, filial piety to the family, but filiality of compassion and cosmological care. The cosmos as father, earth as mother, so we care for this large family of life. This is a scientific idea and ecological practice as well as metaphor. So, respecting nature. And the final example is the meme, the Zhongyun, which urges humans to align with the dynamic and nurturing forces of heaven and earth. And this is part of the renewable energies that are now being put forward for solar and wind and geothermal. We're aligning ourselves with the whole forces of nature. And that's a huge climate change move. Okay, this is a person in Japan I studied, Kaibara Eken. These are two books that I did. And he has the same idea, drawing on the Chinese ideas, ecological ethics, and action, so that heaven and earth gave birth to, nurtures all things, and he aspires to activate that humans are at home in the cosmos, completing the triad with heaven and earth, and restoring filial gratitude for nature with the immense gifts of life. All right, final 3 points. This means we need reciprocity, which refers to working for the common good. This is a very Chinese idea, working for the common good, not just for the self. So in Confucianism, this implies the individual self-cultivation and communal effort is for a flourishing of the whole society, not just individual or family. Reintegration includes combining knowledge and practice to contribute to the betterment of society. So these are ideas, but they have practical considerations. They were used for agriculture, for irrigation, for a common purpose. So in Confucianism, this implies educating oneself in practical matters, such as science and technology, as well as principles and values. Knowledge and action going together. And finally, renewal. So we're looking for renewable energies like solar and wind and geothermal. And we're making, for people and the planet, making the transition to ecological civilization and zero carbon emissions. China has some of the most bold goals in this, fantastic. China has a population that Binbin has shown 95% of the people in China know climate change is an absolute threat and something must be done about it. In the US, it's maybe 60%, same in Europe. So the consciousness is very high here. But what's needed to activate the energy in this transition? So in the Confucian context, this implies shifting to regenerative energy processes for the environment, but also for the individual, our human energies. So a shared planetary future, we have the knowledge of science and policy, law, technologies, and economics to make the shift. We need ecological culture and values to create the context for ecological civilization, to flourish in China and in the West, and joining a mutual effort for the future of the Earth community. And I think China can lead the way with this combination of ecological values and high-level technology for a shift in climate change. So here's some sources you can look at later. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here today, and thank you very much to invite me join this activity. My presentation is Asian Wisdom for Contemporary Problems, Daoism and the Building of an Ecological Civilization. For work today, environmentalism is central as we are crossing the planetary thresholds. Building an ecological civilization needs prioritize transitioning to transparent sustainability and post-carbon society. This creates unprecedented opportunities for traditional Chinese culture. The current global reality can be summed up in civilization being on a collision course with the boundaries of the Earth system. Several planetary boundaries have been overshot, and two of them are of particular significance: the capability of the carbon cycle in the climate system and the speciation extinction balance in the biosphere. Breaking through the carbon boundary has caused climate change. Overshooting the biodiversity boundary has unleashed a global extinction event. Climate change in the North Polar region is 40 years ahead of predicted scenarios, and the Greenland melt-off is now 4 times as fast as had been modeled. Human emissions of the carbon dioxide and methane are overwhelming the assimilative capacity of the carbon cycle, resulting in rising greenhouse gas concentrations and mean surface temperatures. The results are visible in the acidification of the oceans, the increase in extreme weather events, and the intensification of heat waves. To avoid pushing the climate beyond tipping points, the 2015 Paris Accord sought to limit global warming to 2 centigrade above the pre-industrial baseline. Scientific finding in 2018 moved the goal post to 1.5 centigrade of warming. We have already broken through the planetary boundary of the carbon cycle, but if we also break through the 1.5 guardrail, the climate will be put on a trajectory towards hardhouse Earth. Now we need the evolution civilization to move forward. That's eco-civilization. To avoid the Hazim fate required a reduction of carbon emission to 50% by 2030 and to 0 by 2050. This means humanity has several years left to embark on worldwide decarbonization and step back from the cliff. It requires an evolutionary leap for civilization. Next to Confucianism in China, the most important and influential native philosophical spiritual tradition has been that of Daoism. Daoism is well equipped to handle this sea change for an ecological civilization. Daoism is often described in philosophy as green, as it puts the nature's way, the Tao, at the center of the reverence. Like Lao Tzu says, humans follow earth, earth follows heaven, heaven follows Tao, and Tao follows its own nature. There is a pattern of energy flow, a way of how nature proceeds. The reason is a pragmatic concern, motivated by self-interest. What goes against the Tao comes to an early end. Seen in this way, the climate emergency can be the outcome of not following the Tao. Instead of going with the nature's flow, humanity went against it, and now risk is coming to an early end in the hothouse fate. So Lao Tzu says, the Tao is the ancestor of a myriad of things, the root of heaven and earth, the mother of the world, the refuge for the myriad of things. Here, Tao serves as the original source of things, but the myriad things depend on it for life, yet it claims no authority. It gives them life and rears them. It gives them life, yet claims no possession. It benefits them, yet exacts no gratitude. It is a steward, yet it exercises no authority. Such is called the mysterious virtue. So we can see the Creator, the Tao, coexist with its creatures. They both have coextensive properties and form complementary dialectics. The transcendent is immanent. It is not relegated to a supernatural heaven and subdues nature instead. The Taoists hold such view that humans constitute a microcosmos and nature a macrocosmos, and highlight human involvement in the transformation of the universe as friendly donors. This is extremely important through bring Taoism into environmental dialogue. So instead of a distinction between heaven and earth, there is a continuous universe, both sacred and secular. Instead of a distinction between heaven and gods, heavenly realms and divine spirits are coextensive properties of the Taoist highest deities. Instead of a distinction between gods and humans, the third pure ones, Laozi, happens to be both. Nature, a peak, a creek, a seashore, a grove, is inhabited by deities who serve reverence and whose dwelling places are owned protection. Nature is the ultimate framework, integrating everything, including culture. The reverence of this Taoist continuum for environmentalism is easily to see. So, following the Tao, we cherish the coexistence and the interrelatedness of Tao and its creatures, involve continuum and polarities instead of contrasts and distinctions. Following the Tao, Laozi encourages us to cherish three core values. The first is known as compassion, the second is frugality, the third is not daring to take the lead. Following the Tao, we need to practice Taoist soft anthropocentrism, which stresses responsibility and duty. Climate change can be reined in only by interventions ranging from sequestration to reforestation and to decarbonization. It is required from humanity is to serve as healers of the Earth system. As healers, humans would not put nature's flow front and center while playing a leading yet servant role. Avoiding the hothouse fate forces humanity to assume the mantle of planetary stewardship. If we appreciate, value, and practice such ideas in our dealings with nature, we will live in harmony ways rather than against the natural world. Avoid any unnecessary tampering to humans, other things, and the environment. The main difficulty that prevents humankind from assuming its responsibility is the unsustainable pattern of production and consumption. Following the Tao, it would be best to change our consumption and emission patterns and choose voluntarily a simple lifestyle. For the interest of our descendants, the survival of contemporary poor people, the preservation of endangered species, the stabilization of the climate, and last but not least, for our own rational self-interest. Following the Tao, we learn the pattern of energy flows, a way of how nature proceeds. Since nature evolves, following nature's way means that humans evolve too. The self-organization of nature suggests a progression of human development to higher stages of civilization. Summary: Taoist environmentalism proceeds from the coexistence and the interrelatedness of Tao, the creator, and things, its creatures. It involves conceptual and spiritual side, and emerges the secular with the sacred. There are no boundaries between nature and the divine, and between humans and nature. This informs Taoist environmentalism. Nature is a continuum with culture. Environmental facts entail norms. Humans are equal yet superior to life on Earth. These motives, in their combination, provide Taoist followers with a spiritual narrative that grounds environmental activism in the contemporary realities of Anthropocene, the sphere of that of nature. Planetary boundaries dictate the parameters of practice. The planetary crisis imposes tasks on humans to rejoin the community of life as its stewards. Rising to the ocean is an evolutionary leap, but this leap is also natural, since Taoism merely suggests that the time has come for humans to grow up. Just as nature evolves, so should civilization. We need traditional Chinese culture, such as Confucianism, Daoism, Buddhism, and also foreign philosophers and thinkers from other civilizations to constitute a future-oriented combination of cultural resources to build an ecological civilization, which gives a very real chance of avoiding the hothouse fate. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good. The first of two presentations on ethnic, indigenous, native peoples. And I join with Mary Evelyn in making a very clear statement that we both want to renew and keep lively the deep friendship and long-lasting friendship between the United States and China, and to really signal that's a very important motivation behind our presence here. This is a longer talk, so I'm going to move through it, but I wanted to select two terms, lifeways and cosmovisions. I think it provides an interesting perspective, these two terms, on the contributions that small-scale societies that we're calling ethnic peoples, they have their own names for themselves, but they have shared language, kinship systems, stories about themselves, where they've come from. Their lands and biodiversity are sacred and precious to them. So the sense of ethnic peoples and their stories, let me just mention the sense of the presence, the primal beginnings that stays with the people when they tell their story. It's a lived experience. And Lifeway emphasizes this integration then. By knowing Lifeway, we see the relational character of that which is most meaningful to ethnic peoples. This sense then of Lifeway can be expressed in so many ways, and Professor Hazim will give us a very clear lived experience of that. I wanted to bring along a lineage pole from Lummi people. Here you see the design on our right and the actual pole. I wanted to mention that this pole incorporates the ultimate meanings for these people, their close relationship with the natural world, but also this lineage pole has been taken to environmental resistance. So I want to emphasize that lifeways of native peoples, in which the ultimate meaning of the people is woven into their everyday life and ceremonial activities, is also used to give voice to justice issues for them. So indigenous peoples, in their lifeways, I find they're also based on cosmovision, stories that activate the imagination of the people to be in relationship with a world that is speaking to them, the cosmos speaking to the people. And so this sense then of a cosmovision and lifeway woven together. If we think of cosmovision, we can say that it's a narrative, it's a way of speaking among differing ethnic groups about their communication with a world that speaks to them. Cosmovision, you can see it in the dress, and I'm sure when Hazim presents to us, you'll get a sense of what larger worlds of meaning exist for his people. And we see here, these narratives don't separate the world, but rather lift us, as the feathers suggest here, into other realms. I wanted to also just bring the view that cosmovisions can be a map into other worlds. This is from Anishinaabe people. It's actually a chart of a movement of an individual among these people through the second grade, a second stage of a ceremonial that's called the sound of the drum. So their lifeway, they see it as the drum sounding in their life, and anyone who undertakes activities, whether it's craft making or governance, is informed by the sound of the drum. This person, if you look through the first and second stages, this is made on birch bark, and it also gives us an idea of animals teaching this person as well as human beings. So this sense, I want to introduce you to the two people who adopted Mary Evelyn and myself into their family Violet Medicine Horse, and Adam Burden Ground. They are members of the Apsaloge people. In their own language then, this is a reference to a mythic bird. In English, these people are called crow by virtue of a particular sign language signal. So here's Adam, Violet Medicine Horse, and Adam Burden Ground. And one morning, 35 years ago, we were sitting and talking, and Violet said, we need a picture for the family. So Violet went out and set up the stage for the picture. Notice in the background, the Bighorn Mountains way in the distance, about 10,000 feet high. And we're in the sub-hills here, the high hills before the highest ground. And Adam and Violet are dressed in Native American church, the peyote way in their tradition. They wanted to be pictured in dress that reflected who they are as a people and their sense of ultimate meaning, the sense again of life way. These peoples then, ethnic peoples, are always oriented towards community. You can feel it in gatherings. Here, this is a gathering for a ceremonial where they will set up a cosmic lodge, so cosmovisions, huh? But just before I leave this slide, look at what's going on. Food preparation, habitat. These are the dimensions of life way that aren't separated out on a Sunday kind of religious attitude, but woven into everyday meanings among these peoples. Rituals then are means by way the community extends into the natural world. So this ritual is called Ashkise Lisua. Ashkise means cosmic lodge, big lodge, and Lisua means to dance. So about 100 or 150 men and women will go into this lodge and they will dance for 3, 4, or 5 days, depending on the person who is sponsoring the dance. They go without food and water. They take on a great sacrifice and subject themselves to immense pain in order to renew the world. So what are they part of? If you look at the lodge, there are 12 forked poles on the outside. Those are the 12 clans of the Crow people, the Apsaloge people. So we've symbolized all of the people, their life way. Then the rafter poles into the center pole. We're connected to this central meaning, ultimate meaning. Life way is connected to the oneness of the world, which expresses itself in dualities, 2 poles. But look at the top. All of the leaves, the Crow people recognize difference throughout the world. Every one of these timbers or poles is named. So it's a living being for these people. And this lodge then is built to this day. They have 3 or 4 of these ceremonies in the spring. And notice that on the central tree, the tree that represents the deep mystery of the universe, they put the head of a buffalo, that creature which nurtured the people. So some people would say, well, these people worship the buffalo. That's an incorrect understanding. These people honor the spiritual presence which gives life to the people, feeds the people. So when the lodge is finished, there are shade trees around the outside, and the dancers then are dancing to the tree. They are bringing their cosmovision into reality, and they blow on the bone of an eagle wing, and they make a high shrilling sound. It's a sound like the eagle itself calling, and eagles will come out of the mountains and fly around. They'll circle around the lodge, so the people will see this presence of power coming to the lodge to honor their dance. So they undertake this ceremonial in order to renew the relationship of the people with the land, with the biodiversity, and to again ask the land and the biodiversity for the permission to be in this place. So these are very old traditions of resilience that have brought these people through a great deal of suffering. Their relationship with the United States government has not been a happy one. but they have survived to this day. They have a resilience. And I think it teaches us something about our years ahead with climate change. It also teaches us about relationships with nature and the sense of limiting and subjecting humans to limits at times, going without food and water, so that we begin to understand what the world needs to be healed, what all of our relations in the world, all of our kinship in the species of the world, what they need to continue and flourish also. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And I think what John sharing really shared with us a big space, cosmovision. Yeah, is much higher than nature, than Earth. And this time, our event is a cross-generation event. And we have delegates from different generation. And the youngest one is from Miao minority. And I just now I suggest you introduce yourself, but before that, I'd like to say that Zongxu is my proud. And when I was in Tsinghua University, he is now still the PhD candidate in Tsinghua, jointly cultivated by Oxford University. And I introduce from my perspective, and you can add more. And he's a good singer, good dancer, and also the first Chinese chosen by UN as UN's Indigenous Fellow. And also co-initiate Vision 2061. And what else?
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So thank you so much for having me here, and I'm very, very inspired by this previous professors have shared, and I think I'm here on behalf, not only on behalf of my community here. So originally I come from southwestern part of China, Guizhou province, and as Binbin just mentioned, I'm from the Miao ethnic minority group, Miaozu, and so today I think I will be sharing from maybe a next generation's perspective, and I would love to give a showcase from my hometown about how we, as young people, maybe from my own perspective, also the young people like me, how we see this sustainable future look like, how we shape the future, and how we are like shaping it step by step in reality. So just a brief add-on about myself. My name is Zongxu, and I'm currently a joint PhD candidate at Tsinghua and Oxford University, and I do climate change studies. So I really feel there are a lot of things that inspires me when Professor Chen shared that we need to consider about the climate change, and because this is where my PhD thesis lies on, and I do think that we need to, as young people, we need to take actions. So as you can see that I'm wearing my traditional costume, which is like normally we wear this for wedding, but here we wear this also for a very important occasion. So I think it's very important even today, like we gather here together to discuss the same topic, and from both the theoretical perspective, and also from maybe I will be sharing something more about the practical way, and starting from my story maybe, and also something I've been witnessing and I've been participating and I've been engaging with my hometown. So basically, I want to share some key experiences and measures for safeguarding the harmony and stability of the local communities. Because here in China, we often use the terminology local communities or like ethnic minority groups. But internationally, as I'm selected, actually last year I was very honorable to be recommended by my local government, Guizhou provincial government, to participate in the selection procedure of the United Nations Indigenous Program, and fortunately I was selected, and I was historically I was the first Chinese to be in this program, to be engaged in the UN agenda. And for me, I've been working with Professor Binbin to actively participate in the Conference of Parties on Climate Change of the United Nations. So definitely, I have been thinking about how to serve as the bridge between my hometown and the broader world. So there are three pillars I'd like to share. One is policy, second is practices, and how everybody can get engaged. So here are some pictures that back to my hometown. As I shared, I grew up in a small village in Querétaro. I don't know who have ever been to Guizhou? Can you raise your hand? Okay, there's so many. So I grew up in a small village, and my village, there are 5 ethnic group people in my small village, so it's very, very diverse. So since I grew up, my parents sent me to kindergarten where we speak 3 languages. So we teach Chinese Mandarin, we teach English, and we have our own Miao ethnic language. So starting from that on, I've been witnessing that it's really, really very charming for me to really have the motivation to get access to different culture and then interact with people from different communities. As you can see, I put some pictures here. I don't know, how many of you have been witnessing the rapid growth of the Chinese economy through since the open and reform? But I would specifically mention that in my hometown, just starting from 20 years ago when I was a little kid, I can witness it because I grew up right there, and I can feel how the living situations there and also the economic growth has been changing a lot in a very positive way in my hometown. So every time, I've been living in Beijing for 10 years. This year is my 10th year here in Beijing, but every time during vacation and every time I have opportunity, I will get back to my hometown. And I'll go dive into different regions, not only my village, but also some different, as you can see, I have been, during the period of the anti-poverty, say some campaigns there, and right now we call it the rural revitalization, 乡村振兴. And I have been actively engaged in those programs, and I have been, initially I'm a participant, observer, but throughout the experience I've ever had in the United Nations, in Tsinghua, in Oxford, in Geneva, I have been thinking about how I can become the channel between my people and the outside resources. So every time I will take bring many social practices team and also an investigation team to go back to my hometown to interact with the local people, and then to invite the local people to share their own experience on how they feel about let's talk about climate action today. So how they interact with it, and how to bring them, how to share our own stories to other people, and to share our thoughts and our understanding about the harmonious coexistence. As you can see that last month during the China Fashion Week, we have been bringing almost 100 children and embroidery women, handcrafters from my hometown to we had a fashion show in the China Fashion Week in 798. So over there, as you can see, they are over there at the Tiantan to share our voices and then to share our culture to the world. So specifically, as I'm studying in water management, and why I'm choosing this major 10 years ago when I entered Tsinghua, before I entered Tsinghua, is I feel like in China we have a very, very famous slogan called "the green waters and mountains are gold and silver mines." For us, I think we have a very practical understanding about it because my hometown, my village is it's combined with mountains and rivers, and people including like our ancestors, we have been living there for hundreds and thousands of years. Like so, we can use the term like the word indigenous because we are always there. So in Hmong language, we have an old saying, which means all human beings are passengers, and the nature is eternal. So for us, we're always thinking about how to develop our economy and how to develop to improve our lives while having a harmonious relation with the nature. So specifically, we have been keeping a very good water management strategies. As you can see, like this has been there are a lot of practical cases. For example, like the systematic governance and dual solutions to boost water management, and including we have been building a lot of water resources infrastructures like hydropower stations, which are very which tend to be very tiny but very useful for the local community to get access to the electricity, to utilize the water, and then even like earn money from it. So also, as you can see, I'm wearing the traditional costumes today, and we have a lot of, we have been thinking about how to boosting local industries and also how to empower the local communities, especially the women and children. So for the children, we engage them to get access to educational resources. Like for me, as in the picture before I showed, we have been. So for example, this year we're inviting the global top level universities professors to come to my hometown in July for the Ecological Forum in Guiyang, and it will be like for the young people like me and some of the students. They will be able to get access to those educational resources directly and interact with professors from different backgrounds. And for especially as the picture shows, this is some of the projects that my team has been running, which is the empowerment of the local women, and it's also water-related industries because as I shared, it helps enhance employment for local women, especially from our community, and this can help them to improve their economic status and social roles. So. And you can see this is also a picture from my hometown, which you can see a lot of green, like we protect the environment very well. So Guizhou is quite kind of special comparing to other provinces because we can witness there's less pollution there, but we can still find our own special and unique way to develop our own economy within just a very short period of time. We let everybody get out of poverty, and this is where I'm always proud of. And every time when I go to the United Nations, I have a negotiation with people from other delegations. I'll always share these showcases to them because I think it's not only a slogan as I shared, because I'm the example to showcase them how we facilitate those kind of resources, how we integrate those different approaches for the local people to get access to different resources, and also teach them how to utilize them in a sustainable way. So that's why last year, when as in the picture shows, last year on behalf of the global indigenous delegates, I had the privilege to deliver a speech to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and also the Secretary General of the World Ecological Organization. And next to me, it's the gentleman is Brother Jesse, and he is a First Nation. He's a First Nation people from Australia, and we work tightly together because not only because both of us are Yale Indigenous Fellow, but we all share a very important consensus that we all think that only live in a harmonious way with nature can human beings live, eternally. So this is why, like last year, when we delivered this idea, Vision 2061 to His Excellency Guterres, he encouraged us a lot to say that just move forward and then to have enough courage because they are behind us. So I feel I'm very honorable because as younger generation we have the courage because we have elder generations to support us. For Vision 2061, it's an initiative. But why 2061? Is I think everybody knows about the UN SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. So what about after it? We, the younger generation, we always need to consider about what will be happening in the future. So when we deliver this to him, to His Excellency, he mentioned that it's really a great initiative because he can really feel like we as young people to think about not only the current agenda, but we are all shaping our agenda in our own unique way. So not only for climate action, but also, for example, economic development, social development, cultural development, and also some direct and indirect advocacies. We're all on our way. And last week I was in New York just participating in the UN Economic Youth Forum, and I was while I was negotiating with other delegations, I delivered such an idea also for to shape a common vision for every humankind. So later on we have because I originally from Miao ethnic group, and I think it's where I'm rooted, and for me, and there are, as I shared, we have a lot of people like me, so that make me become very brave and become very, as a target oriented to bring it as a very good showcase to the world, including some international platforms like the United Nations and also some like universities like here today in the Yale Center, to showcase the positive developments and good practices in my region, and this can allow the international community to better understand my local communities. So I founded the branding, the Miao. This is a fashion branding, but I would like to just also inviting you guys to maybe come to my hometown one day, and I will take you to have real interaction with the embroidery there, with the silver, the handcrafts procedures there, and then to interact with the people. So those pictures under it is during last year's UN climate change conference, and I did a showcase. We made a special embroidery for the COP, and we presented and also sent it as a gift to the president of COP 29. So because recently last year the presidency was Azerbaijan, and recently the president and his wife is in Beijing. So we had a continuous interaction with this. So I think this can. The Miao is my start, but I would encourage all the young people like me. You have your own origin, you have your own roots, so everybody can think about where you come from, because this can lead this can guide you to think about where you will go. So this is to leverage our engagement as a channel for expanding cooperation networks, sharing experience, and empowering the younger generation. So the valuable lessons from my region can be more widely applied. So I'll say thank you, and just welcome all the questions later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Zongxu, for the sharing about your personal story. And now you can understand why I feel so proud of him. And he's a pioneer of the young generation to tell the story to the whole world about culture, about people. And also, just now you encourage the young people to identify their own, their own route. So it's also, we have the common sense that I initiate C-Force Lab. So C-Force is see your own force inside you, who you are, where you come from, and where you want to go. So in this way, only you find yourself, you can know what you can really contribute to the human, to the nature, to the universe. And consider time, I think we can have one round of questions among us, and then we open the floor to the audience, okay? Yeah. So, because today's topic is about climate crisis, modern challenge, and the ancient wisdom, traditional culture, and indigenous culture. And just now, you introduced the ancient part. And Professor Xia especially mentioned the modern challenge, and thank you so much. And for Mary and John, and I also know that you have spent 1 month in China before you visited Beijing. This is your last stop this time, right? So you visit especially like Liangzhu culture, heritage. So anything you find like from the ancient wisdom can really address climate change.
So I'm really eager to get to questions. So I'll just say briefly what this panel has said is now evident, I think, across China. This is the oldest continuing civilization in the world. It is the most important country on the planet for our future because of its modernity, because of its sophistication and so on, but also because of its traditional cultures. And people everywhere, in Hong Kong, in Zhuhai, in Shanghai, in Liangzhu, are very similarly concerned. How are we going to blend these? So I think, in short, we need a new fusion. We need this kind of discussion that Binbin is leading, certainly at the UN, but across China, universities are definitely concerned for climate change and the idea of ecological civilization, which is absolutely unique to China and very, very important. Not perfect, but promising in every way. So we are hopeful to be bridges of what is happening on the ground. Liangzhu is an example of water issues, the most ancient Neolithic site in China, and how they manage water issues and damming. So that's just one.
I want to echo Mary Evelyn's emphasis that ecological civilization is not only a unique contribution by China, but as we see the United States falling back and reversing some of its attention at a governance level, certainly states and cities will continue to work hard in the United States, but where will planetary or global leadership come from these next few years? I'm hoping, and I expect China will undertake that leadership. What does it mean, though, for a country to feel that kind of pressure? Is it possible that China will back off of its commitment to ecological civilization? We saw it in the United States. I think not, but it's a concern of mine.
Thank you. So I have no question for Professor Chen. Maybe I leave the chance for the audience. Yeah, and before Zongxu as well. So before we open the floor to all participants, I just one point to clarify, because when we mentioned the traditional culture, like the ancient building, the food system, lifestyle in the ancient time. And I double check with the expert in those fields. Do you think there are some connection between ancient wisdom and the modern challenge, especially climate change? And the experts, most of them will say yes. The field in the ancient traditional culture really impacted by climate change. So almost everyone now have a strong awareness that climate change negative impact, on this kind of traditional culture really exists. But from a different direction, whether there are some still, some traditional culture still applied for the climate crisis. This is the point we want to explore. For example, I visited Suzhou one day and talked with the local people. And the similar narrative, at the very beginning, they say, oh yes, our house was impacted by climate change. And when I explained the idea, they immediately say, oh, we are rebuilding our house, traditional house beside the river. And our house is very comfortable, and never we feel wet in winter, and always like warm in winter, and cool in summer. Yeah, but we don't know how. And when they rebuilt the house, they dig out the base, the foundation, and they found inside the foundation is not brick, it's a shell. It's the shell, 贝壳, and this kind of shell is from the river. So they just take the materials, not far away, like use a long transportation and produce a lot of emission. They just pick up the shell and use it. So this is a very smart wisdom to adapt to climate change. And nowadays, the key bottleneck for us to address climate change is that we always highlight like energy transition, yes, it's very important. Adaptation, yes, it's very important. But if we use this kind of mindset, it means that we need a lot of money, then we have no money. So this is the bottleneck in UN negotiation every year. So if we can learn from the ancient wisdom, the traditional culture, then we may find it's very cheap, right? The shell is like we don't need to spend any money, we just pick up from the river and build our house. So we need this kind of wisdom for us to reflect how to address climate change.